Well, a court injunction to stop protesters from honking their horns in downtown Ottawa has been extended 60 days. But the horns, they're still going. The honking stopped when that injunction was initially granted on February 6th, but it didn't last very long. Paul Champ is the lawyer who brought the injunction forward. He's also leading a class action lawsuit for affected residents. And he joins us live now from Ottawa. Mr. Champ, it's good to speak with you.
Great to speak with you.
How do you think this injunction's going? I mean, there's still a lot of honking happening in the downtown.
No doubt, David. You just got a bit of a taste of it there with that clip. But, it has been better. Right after our first injunction, there was no honking at all for about 3 or 4 days. Then the truckers seemed to start getting a bit more confident, and they did it a bit more, and they did it a bit more. And now we are seeing it more frequently. There seems like they choose a few times a day to do it, but it's nothing like the first 10 days where it was almost like a total and constant sonic assault. They were doing it 12 to 14 hours a day, almost constantly, and inflicting real serious harm on the Ottawa residents.
Right, so you got the 60-day extension, but the judge stopped short of ordering the sheriff of the city of Ottawa to enforce the order. So, I know you've gotten some relief, but what's the point of an injunction if it's not going to be enforced to the letter?
Yeah, well, there's no question that there is a bit of a mystery in Ottawa about why the Ottawa police aren't being a little bit more effective with their enforcement, shall we say. But with an injunction order, that does give us a lot more powers in the civil litigation. If they're in breach of a contempt order, while unfortunately I can't force the police to enforce it, we are collecting evidence about which trucks are breaching that order, and there will be consequences for them down the road.
Okay, on that point though, you're collecting information on who's breaching it, but are you kept informed on this about who's been fined or arrested for violating this injunction? Do you have any sense of how effective it's been on the enforcement side?
The police have not arrested anyone directly for breaching the injunction order. They have given tickets because, again, when they're blowing the horns like that, it's also effectively a breach of a bylaw. The difference with the injunction is they can go further. They can arrest someone for honking. So there have not been any arrests yet, but we'll see. Maybe when it comes time, when the police do try to start shutting down the protest, if the protesters don't leave on their own, this injunction will be a tool for them to arrest people if it's needed.
Right. So there's another injunction at play here too, right? The city of Ottawa, they were later to the game than you, but they got a similar injunction that also seems to have not effectively stopped it. So beyond this, what are the other tools that can be used to stop this honking that you've described as a sonic assault?
Well, right now it's more of a tactical issue for the police. They do have all the legal tools now. We have the emergency measures regulations now, these two injunction orders. So the police have the legal tools, whereas early in the protest, there would have been issues for the officers about whether they have reasonable grounds to arrest in certain circumstances. Well, there's zero doubt about that now. Basically, any kind of activity that the protesters are engaged in now down in what we call the occupation zone. I'm not sure if Canadians really get what's happening in downtown Ottawa, but it's total anarchy. It's like Mad Max out there, and just as dangerous and random and arbitrary. We're hoping now that the police, with these injunction orders and the emergency measures regulations, will actually start, putting some teeth into it and stopping this activity. Yeah,
I was on Kent Street earlier today, and there they were, just roasting a pig in the middle of the road. I've never seen that, outside of like a street festival situation. It was just there. But, Mr. Champ, I know you're starting a class action on this. You've launched a class action, but you also sought the injunction, and it was a 21-year-old woman who was the initial name on this injunction. And I understand there was a lot of abuse and online harassment and doxing. How's your client doing after all of this now?
She's really terrific. She's very solid. She's getting a lot of support from her neighbors. Her neighbors think she's a hero, and she certainly is. And a lot of love from the entire city, quite frankly. There's one local artist made a great portrait of her with Patriot behind it, and we're seeing those signs around Ottawa right now. So, Ms. Lee has really become a symbol of Ottawa citizens trying to, stand up to this occupation. And she's very brave, and she's continuing to hang in there.
Has the harassment stopped at all, or is it continuing? Because people describe this as peaceful. Yeah. And if you're a shop owner who's had people come in and refuse to wear a mask and force you into a confrontation, that's not peaceful. And if you're a 21-year-old young woman who seeks an injunction and gets harassed online, that's not peaceful either. So has it ended? Has it stopped?
Well, she's taken down all of her social media. So we've taken measures there, and we've taken security measures at her building. Where her address is unknown. Mm-hmm. So we do have that advantage. And whenever she does leave her building, she does so very carefully. So we have adopted security measures and other things I can't really speak about because of some of the concerns. And we have been in regular touch with the police. The RCMP and the Ottawa Police have been in regular contact with us about issues that they've learned. So we are taking those steps, but she's very brave to put herself forward and be that lightning rod to defend her community.
Just one last question, because you mentioned the police. We've had a change in leadership now. We've also had statements from the interim chief of police and from the Police Services Board and City Council that they've got what they need. So based on this posture that they're taking, do you anticipate that they will act soon to end this occupation of the downtown?
Well, I certainly hope so for all downtown residents and businesses. You have restaurants and businesses and hair salons, cafes, all closed downtown because of the marauding groups and the sound and the diesel. The residents, it's just been awful. So yes, I hope it comes to a conclusion, really as soon as possible and hopefully peacefully. Once there starts being some enforcement action, I'm hoping the protesters realize it's well past time for them to go home.
Okay, Paul Champ, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.